Hey guys, welcome back to another Big Dogs podcast. Today we are going to be talking about school uniforms, if they are a good or a bad idea. I have brought Godfall on with me to actually talk about it because he might
Hello.
have further information on this than I do. Um, because knowing my knowledge, I am not that, into school uniforms. I went to school like years ago, so I don't know what your knowledge is on this.
I'm old, pretty much
That would,
old, but that's okay. But when I was a kid, they always say that school uniforms they they were trying so hard saying school uniforms are mandatory in my days, but then they didn't really go by doing like that. They just kind of brush it underneath the rug and kind of like I don't know how you put this. They kind of push on the rug a lot and just say, okay, um, the students kind of have a say in this, and if they did have a say in it, then they were like, okay, we are going to listen to the students instead of the board, and then they probably got in trouble. Some of the teachers probably got in trouble then, I'm assuming, because the board will push and push and push and push and push until they are blue in the face. But if the students don't want it, the kid that's and some of the teachers probably agreed that uniforms don't really need to be there, but they probably got in trouble because they kept on wanted the board really wants to get that on um what's that called? Tracked, if I remember correctly, or something like that. Like just make sure people the board really wants people to do it. But at the end of the day, they should be pushing people, but that's just the board. The board try and make more money because it's the schools don't make that much money only on like school trips and other stuff like that, and that they don't make money as it's a free school. Like public school is free, and that's the reason because the government gives them money or vice versa. I'm assuming. I don't know about in your town, like in your I don't know if you want me to say this, but in United States,
in the US, okay.
for me in Canada, the government pays the school's salary and teachers and them stuff. But there also the teachers pay like a portion of that too because they have to pay $100 for keeping their membership. I mean membership. Technically, it's like a membership fee. So it just that's the only thing they cover, but everything else the government helps them because they want to make sure it's free instead of actually making parents pay for it and stuff. But then private schools make you pay because it's they don't get that government assistance. I don't know about USA. It might be different. I don't know.
Well, it's quite interesting. I have, like I said, I haven't been to school for like years. Um, but I really don't know if our schools were like funded like at all or free in your case. Um, I'm not sure, a hundred
I'm gonna
percent.
look it up right now. US
Sweet.
is USA.
I think we did get like funded in like some areas, but not like 100%. I would say probably like on like field trips and like stuff like that. Um, we did definitely get uh enough. We would have to also raise it ourselves by like our fundraisers and stuff that the school
That's
wants
same
us
with
to do.
us a little bit. Like we did school trips, but that's because we want to go on school trips.
Hmm. I mean, that's kind of just my take on like the whole situation that you were going off of. Um, I'm not for sure that, again, if it was funded by the government or not.
That's what
But
I'm trying to look up and see, because I don't
uh,
even know that for sure, because I don't live in the United States. So
no, you don't. Um, I'm pretty sure that the parents have to actually pay for the students to actually, or for their kid to actually go to school.
uh,
So it's kind of coming out of the parents' like paycheck, I would say.
I won't say
On
paycheck. Actually, no, it's actually government funded by the government. Unless if you're in
huh,
private schools, kind of like here too.
interesting. Well, I went
So
to
basically,
public school, so
yeah, I went to public school. I went to even like what's that called? I went to a private school too, like a Christian school when I was a
mhm.
kid. So it was like kind of like that. But my parents got a grant from the government, so because they were kind of like low on kids, how many kids, so the school board, which my dad was on, basically got a grant for just to help them out. So basically, how that worked for me to go to the Christian school is basically my dad and us had to get a grant. They paid for it, everything like that. But then we had to make it ends meet. So we had to do some cleaning. We had to do some odds, bits, pieces there and there. Like say example, clean the school like on lunch break. Doing odd jobs so we can actually go to the Christian school. And so basically I remember when I was a kid, off topic about that a little bit, what we were talking about. But anyhow, when I was a kid, basically when we cleaned the school, my parents cleaned the school. I was in charge of the windows, but basically I used to eat flies.
Oh no.
It was kind of weird, but I was a weird child then, and so basically that's what happened. And most of the stuff was kind of like, okay, if you like private schools can do like that. Some private schools are picky on what they do, but that's where they make the most money by saving on janitor, saving on time like that. So they can make money that way because then they don't have to pay someone to clean the school or anything like that. They also help with just doing like that. So there is pros and cons about the topic that we're going to be talking about. We
Definitely.
are going to be talking about uniforms and kind of like what Big Dog said. We're talking about that, and it's so hard. I personally don't think uniforms should be there because it just makes the kids feel insecure about their body. And if you're telling them that they can't wear what they feel comfortable with, I get there's some stuff like dress codes too is a good thing. But when it comes to uniforms and you have to wear the same uniform all the time, I personally don't think uniforms are really helpful because then makes them feel like kind of ashamed of themselves saying, I can't do this.
Yeah,
And it makes them feel like insecure, like I can't pick my own outfit. But at the end of
definitely.
the day, they get like, for example, like with my daughter and how we make decisions of what she wants for snacks and stuff, for example, we give her a choice. Like, okay, would you rather go fish or would you rather want applesauce and make her choose? And if we don't want to make her choice, then we make the decision. If she makes like kind of like a, if she already had like five goldfish, like five bear paws in that time frame, we would get her healthy snack. So we get to choose what she eats. So I feel like it's a choice. It's like anything really. It's a choice of life, and when it comes to that, it just makes harder for people to not have any choices in life. And I think choices in life, like if you're isolating people to wear uniforms, it's basically saying, "Oh, I don't like your outfit." But still, like, have a dress code. That's the easiest way. But uniforms, I personally don't think uniforms should exist in school. I get in the work field, I get that. I know we're probably not talking about work field, but I don't know. But work field, I get it because you want to make sure people are wearing your logos at work or school. I mean, work. But at
I was
school,
about to
I
say
think it should
school.
be a
What?
choice. But
I was about to say, like, why do you want to wear like your work stuff to school? Why?
some people do.
I mean,
Like, I
not our place to judge or anything, but
no.
just that's kind of curious. Why would you want to wear your, I would just say like your work uniform for say to school? Like, I'm not gonna name specifically where I work, but
No.
we do have to wear like our like mesh vests and everything that
Yeah.
has our logo onto it.
Which
But
makes sense. But at school, I think you should be wearing your logo anywhere. Like,
in general, yeah.
unless if you're
Um,
in a club, unless if you're in like a school club, then that's different. Like if you're in a, like, say example, you went to a volleyball tournament, then wear the school uniform. Like wear the school uniform, like of their logo.
definitely.
But I personally don't think it's really necessary for uniforms. So
So that actually leads us, I guess, into the first video of this kind of discussion, I would say. It, the video will be talking about uh, if school, like, should students, wear school uniforms? And yeah, let's take a look at that. And after this, we will just kind of give our own opinion on it. So let's get straight into that.
Should schools require students to wear uniforms? In this video, we'll dive into both sides of the debate. Before we get into the debate, let's briefly look at some of the statistics and history behind school uniforms. Currently, about 1 in 5 US public schools require students to wear uniforms. The first use of a dress code in schools dates back to England in 1222 when the Archbishop of Canterbury mandated that students wear a robe-like outfit. In 1987, the first U.S. public schools began instituting uniform policies in Maryland and Washington, D.C. Although voluntary, almost all students wore the uniforms. In 1994, the first school district in the U.S. to require all students to wear uniforms was the Long Beach Unified School District in California. And in 1996, President Bill Clinton told Congress during his State of the Union speech that our public schools should be able to require their students to wear school uniforms. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the arguments for requiring school uniforms. Those who support school uniforms say that it deters crime and increases student safety. Some studies have indicated drops in assaults, fighting incidents, robbery, vandalism, and possession of drugs. They also say that school uniforms also prevent students from concealing weapons under baggy clothing, that it is easier to track students on field trips, and makes intruders on school campuses more visible. Another argument in support of school uniforms is that it keeps students focused on their education, not their clothes. The National Association of Secondary School Principals stated that when all students are wearing the same outfit, they are less concerned about how they look and how they fit in with their peers. Thus, they can concentrate on their schoolwork. Other arguments in support of school uniforms is that it creates a level playing field among students and reduces peer pressure and bullying. It also reduces the competition between students over clothing choices and teasing of those who wear less expensive and fashionable clothes. In addition, it's said that school uniforms can enhance school pride, unity, and community spirit. Lastly, those who support school uniforms say that it can improve attendance and discipline within schools. University studies have shown that it has improved attendance rates by as much as 7% and decreased the amount of discipline referrals by as much as 74% in one study. Now let's look at arguments for those who are against school uniforms. One argument says that school uniforms restrict students' freedom of expression that is guaranteed in the First Amendment of the US Constitution. In Sweden, it was determined by a government agency that uniforms were a human rights violation because dress and appearance should be considered an individual expression decided by students themselves. Another argument against school uniforms says that it does not actually stop bullying and in some cases increases violence in schools. They point to a peer-reviewed study that found that school uniforms actually increase the number of assaults per year, while other studies found increases in discipline incidents and fights nearly doubling within 1 year. Other arguments say that school uniforms actually emphasize the socioeconomic divisions that they're supposed to eliminate. For example, 47% of high-poverty public schools require school uniforms versus 6% of low-poverty schools. Also, schools with a minority student population of 50% are 4 times more likely to require uniforms. Lastly, those against school uniforms say that uniforms can have a detrimental effect on students' self-image. When students have to wear the same outfits rather than being allowed to select clothes that suit their body types, they can suffer embarrassment at school. Specialists have said that students, especially girls, tend to compare how each other look in their uniforms, and this can have a negative effect on their self-perception.
Okay, so that was a bit interesting there. I will say, on some of these, it said that I would say, I think at least what it said was it decreased the bullying, but also increased like their attendance rate. And girls tend to, judge more on their uniforms than I would say males definitely. But that's just, I would say, probably another topic, I guess. I'm not really sure. What do you
Don't
think,
know.
Alvin?
I think it's good, but nowadays, like, there's so many different people that are going to, how do I do this? Basically transgender people. Like, there's so many people that are, how do you determine which uniform to get nowadays? Because of the transgender people, and I'm not hating them, I'm just trying to figure that out. Like, if you're saying you have a boy turn into a girl, which uniform would you get them? And I feel like it's just hard to know where that sits, because there is some people that identify that as a girl, and would you wear the skirt and everything like that? And it's kind of like a public, um like, if a guy wears a skirt, it's not wrong or anything like that, but it's just like, where'd you cross the line with that? And it's just so hard to know where that sits, because
Definitely.
because technically the girls wear skirts with underwear and all them stuff,
Hmm.
but if a guy wears a skirt, it just like shows their other areas that they should be seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of like, if you're actually a true Scotsman, you actually don't wear any underwear too. So like, that's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Like, how would you determine that? And it's just so hard to know where they sit too, because some people love uniforms, some people don't. And I'm still sticking with, I would not want a uniform, because I want people to wear whatever makes them feel comfortable sometimes.
Definitely.
And
But then, um, with, with students wearing, whatever they want, it brings up the, I would say, problem of like bullying in some way. Uh,
It can be, depends on what they're doing. But if you look at it nowadays, like anyone can be bullying anything nowadays. Like if you have a speech problem, or if anyone has a little bit delay in their learning style, or if people in saying this in general sense, like for example, you're in a walker, people still pick on you probably at school, probably, or people pick on people in wheelchairs, people pick on anything that they stand out, people that stink, or people that um not so much being gay so much, but there's some people that still have that problem still. And I think if you isolate that, I feel like it's just gonna make it worse and worse and worse down the road. And it just harder to cops at that really, because no matter where you can get bullied,
definitely.
and it's so hard not like it's because the bullies are insecurity of your way of looking at that, and it's because bullies don't know how you like if they were bullying as a kid, or when their parents bullied them, like saying, "Oh, you don't need that much food, you don't need that," and themselves, you're still gonna get bullied no matter where you are. Even in a regular work field too, you're still gonna get bullied even if you're no matter where. And that's just part of life. You're gonna get people that are gonna pick on you. There's gonna be people that don't know anything. And society doesn't care, like society doesn't care about if you have some kind of speech problem or anything like that. They care about what you can do to help the business, not how can a disability help me, or how can a crippled person, or how can anyone help me. They focus on what people look at you. And if, like, say example, even going through a job interview, they always say, "Oh, you should dress like this, you should dress like this." But realistically, you should be looking presentable at a job. But at school, you should be worried about that. You should worry about what is, you should look after your appearance. Yes, like if you're buffy, like gruffy scrubs like this, or anything like that, you have to look after your body. But that's the point. Like it's like I don't personally think the uniforms will make a big impact of bullying or anything like that, because anything like that nowadays.
Definitely.
So
With
it's
what
just so. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna kind of touch base a little bit on what you said about work on the interview kind of part. Um, with me, when I went through my interview, God, what was it like months ago?
Months ago,
Yeah, it was like in, oh God, let me pull it up.
that is
Um,
so long ago.
yeah, I think it was in like July, not July. Um, August, maybe? Um,
No, June. I think it was June.
mm,
I thought it was June or July or August, because I remember you
August.
telling me that. Was it August? Okay.
Yeah, I got hired on August 18th.
Okay.
So that was actually my hire date. Um, before then, yeah, I had to go in early for like the interview and the orientation, go through all that crap. So I probably had the orientation maybe a month prior. Um, but either way, what you were kind of saying there was, yeah, you still kind of want to look presentable, but for me, it's like it's retail. They don't really care.
Some
On
retailers do.
not mine. Um,
You're lucky, because some retailers actually do care what you look like.
I mean, yeah, you have to, look presentable. You can't, look like a homeless person, like walk off the street.
Yeah, you have to
You have
look
to actually,
presentable. Like
you actually
you
have to
have to
look
have
presentable.
cowl and them stuff.
I'm not trying to hate on retail people, by the way. I work in retail. I go through the pain. Um, so it kind of sucks, but at least it gets the bills paid.
Mm.
Um, but either way, through like my hire and like my interview people, um, they didn't really tell us about. Well, in the orientation, they didn't really tell us that they had a dress code. Um, they just, as long as you don't wear anything that's uh, representing like other brands while you're on the clock or anything, you're good. Um, yet again, I will say that they do allow me to wear like jerseys and stuff to work, but that's just under the uniform. As long as the vest is over and the name tag is shown, you're good to go. That's all that they care about.
You're lucky
And
because there is some people that actually can't really do like that.
definitely. Um, the only bad thing is since I have to work in the building, it really just depends on the department you work in. But I'm not here to, talk about retail or whatever. That's probably a different subject for a different podcast later down the line. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's just I just wanted to hit on that topic a little bit on that. So
it's just there's a lot of people that are lucky that they can do like that, basically,
definitely.
because not everyone can be lucky to have that.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's just so hard to do like that. But back to like school uniforms, I still don't think uniforms really matter in school and should matter. Not really. Like I feel like it's just so hard to do like that.
I'm gonna be bringing up the other video later down the line, but I'm just to kind of point towards that a bit is like if you did wear a school uniform, that's gonna be costing you a lot unless the school pays for it.
But they won't.
Which
Most places don't do like that.
exactly. Like my school, we actually had to pay for our stuff. The school didn't pay for it at all, which kind of
Yeah.
seems unfair in a way,
It
but
is
that's
kind of
just
unfair, but if the school has to fork out a lot of money, where are they getting the money? The money come from the taxes,
well,
or
taxes, government.
government
If
will lose a lot of money that they don't have.
supposedly,
Supposedly, they
but
don't have money, but it's okay.
that's why the school funders and everything, we have the
Help out.
fundraisers, and we have a lot of them.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
and that's the thing.
yeah,
Fundraisers are fun. I remember doing a kid when I did like had to do pay for a trip. I loved
hmm
it because it was just so much fun going to door. But nowadays, a lot of people don't do like that.
definitely,
It's not. It's because of the pandemic.
yeah,
It's because not many people want to. And same with like, say example, like go and see people's houses. You don't see that many people that actually go to door to just talk to people like that.
definitely.
And that's sad, really. And it's just sad that they can't do like that. It just, I don't know. I just feel like it's just sad that they um don't have the ability to do that anymore. Like I remember selling chocolate when I was a kid to raise money for school trips. It's fun. So
I mean, that's just kind of in the past, though, I'll say, because, yeah, though, I don't know how many field trips, we're even allowed to go on during, I would say, the pandemic as well, when I was still in
not
school.
many. Like up here, we did not go anywhere. They did go any school trips whatsoever.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I don't know about there. What you guys did, I don't know. Like we actually got shut down completely.
Oh, great.
The
Um,
only things that you had to stay away from people. And now that's what I believe that's what a lot of people are lacking now is social skills.
social skills, and I wouldn't really want to throw
Work ethics.
anxiety into it, but there's
Yeah.
definitely like a mix, I would say, of those kind of people. Um, with one of my classes that I took, um, it was kind of like a military type of class, and it was a fun class. It was a fun class. I'll give you that. But we were definitely struggling on what can we do for fundraisers and field trips and stuff like that that we've done in the past. Because a while ago, we've done a uh, parade,
Yeah.
and la- the in during the pandemic that got shut down due to reasons, and we couldn't really do it. So that was kind of out of the picture. But we needed to get so many community service hours to actually pass the class. So
Yeah.
I was also in like a leadership kind of role in that class. So after school, I had to stay after and go back to the classroom and meet up with all the leadership people in that class
Yeah.
to figure out, hey, what can we do for field trips? What can we do for, fundraisers, this, that, and the other. Um, we definitely came up with some things, and it was fun, but some students really didn't want to do it, which, okay, if they don't want to do it, they need community service hours. Um, if they don't do it, they're probably going to be failing the class if this is a
Yeah.
mandatory thing, which we didn't really come up with a lot of mandatory community service things. But if they missed out on a mandatory community service thing, that's definitely going up, and they're probably not going to pass in the class.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks for them, but
What can you do?
it's what can we do? I mean, we can only hold them back so long. We actually have another guest, kind of, virtually, for this next video, and that is MatPat taking the school uniforms to, I would say, another level. And they're gonna be talking about like a back to school thing, how much the uniforms might be, stuff like that. So let's get right into Matt Pat's little video here on style theory.
Explanatory, right? Most of us have gone back to school shopping at least at one point in our lives. Not only does the standard back to school list involve the school supplies that you need, like pencils, notebooks, and my personal favorite, the graphing calculator, rest in peace TI-83 Silver Edition, it usually involves new clothing for the school year. Now, your mileage may vary, depending on how much you grow or keep up with the latest trends on TikTok, but either way, the clothing costs for school can add up real fast. According to Statista.com, the average parent was expected to spend approximately $864 $134.35 on back-to-school shopping in 2022. Clothes and shoes clocked in at $431.74, just 87 cents away from being half of the total spendings. We also have to consider what exactly is meant by the average. If you're anything like me, my family went to the abandoned mall in central Cleveland where there was like one Dillard's outlet in the middle of this thing with everything 90% off. And then once we were there, we bought all-size extra large button-down shirts because, hey, those are the types of clothing that would last. I mean, I was wearing stuff that was so big it probably could have passed as a poncho. We shopped very rarely. I was expected to keep all my clothes in excellent condition, and like I said, if you buy the biggest size right off the bat, well, you never grow out of anything. But kids at the other end of the spectrum going to my same school might be shopping, say, 3 to 4 times during the school year, or heck, every weekend. And they were shopping at the fancy places, like the not sale rack in the real mall. When I was in school, if you had those polo shirts from Abercrombie & Fitch that came in every color, you were living it large. If you could swing for dark wash jeans and a sweater vest from Lacoste or DKNY, you were living that rich kid life. The point is, there is a huge range here, and most kids, if given an option, are gonna flex all over their peers in the grade school land grab for social status. The idea of having school uniforms is that it takes away the visual reminder of what could be a huge income gap between wealthy and non-wealthy students. Everyone buys the uniform from the uniform store, everyone looks the same. No one is given extra social status because of their clothes. In theory, in style theory, this principle is totally solid. So let's just see what you're spending on school uniforms versus that average of $430 on school clothes. Well, as you would probably expect, the standard school uniform is going to range in price as well. They can cost anywhere between $25 and $200 per outfit. Speaking to members of Team Theorist who had experience with school uniforms at some point in their lives, they weighed in that their uniforms cost between $50 to $70 per outfit, which fits the range pretty darn well. That seems like a pretty good deal, but remember, you need a uniform for every day. Most school guidelines suggest 6 outfits, one for each day of the week, as well as one extra, in case of an art class disaster or something. Taking the average cost of a uniform, that means that you're paying somewhere between $300 and $420 on outfits, or if we're talking about the very top end of our range, about $600. And all of this is assuming that the school doesn't have extra special features like ties, blazers, or dress shoes. If you're looking at the average cost of uniforms, then you're hanging right in the range of the average spend for families on back-to-school clothing, which again is just an average. On the plus side, this means that yes, ultra-wealthy families are now restricted to the uniform. No more rubbing designer brands in everyone's face. However, it also means that there's less flexibility for lower-income families who, if they were allowed, might have been able to make their dollars go further through thrifting or other clever clothing solutions. In short, the uniform is a system that brings everyone towards the middle for better or worse. That said, even though school uniforms are meant to stay the same, the times they are a-changin'. Since the return to in-person schooling post-pandemic, there are more reports of low-income families being unable to meet the costs of uniform regulations. There seem to be a lot of reasons for this. First and foremost, school uniform prices tend to rise with inflation, but the family income, yeah, that largely stays the same, sadly. Making matters worse, school uniforms are practically a monopoly. They're produced by a relatively small number of companies. That means that the door is wide open for more competition, but good luck getting slow-moving institutions like schools to change vendors anytime soon. It also means that lower-priced or secondhand uniform items are just harder to find. Sure, many schools offer uniform swaps or hand-me-down policies as kids grow up and size out of certain clothes so that uniforms can be passed along from class to class, but this isn't a requirement or standardized practice by any means. However, the biggest problem with the cost argument is that outside of school, kids still need clothes. Unless you're wearing your uniform to the playground, the movie, out shopping, you're gonna be needing multiple outfits. And something tells me that most kids aren't gonna be super hype about wearing plaid knickers emblazoned with the school crest to their best friend's birthday party at the jump park. So overall, the grade for school uniform cost here is a D at best. Well, yes, if you find yourself in a school with cheaper uniforms, it might save on the overall school clothing budget, but that cost savings, if it exists, is going to be largely counteracted by the need to have extra non-school clothing for your everyday usage.
Okay, so that was a little interesting. Overall, the spending, depending on a low kind of income family to a high income family, the average amount that you would be spending on a school uniform, because you need like 6 uniforms at least,
Give or take.
give or take, that would be at least up to $600 for said uniform after so many.
Yeah.
But that's like the very high end. of a uniform for like a high income family. Like a low income family, I think, would go out to at least 420 on the highest, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah, you're reading it correctly. But just so expensive sometimes. Like, it's like, what do you do in that situation? Is there actually people that can? Like, nowadays, like, everything is skyrocket.
Definitely. So that might even be more expensive, honestly, if we want to do more research into that.
Yeah. It's just so expensive nowadays, no matter where you are. It's just hard to pay for things like that. Like, if you have to pay uniforms, it just, I don't know how people can afford things unless if you get really, really good paying job, but good luck with that. Like, it's, some people work at like grocery stores or work
Yeah.
at things that are less money chances. But I don't know, like, I feel like if they lower places down a little bit or lower things down, it might make more sense than that.
Yeah, but
And
if we were to look back a little bit on what Matt Pat said, good luck on trying to have the schools change the realtor's price on the uniforms.
yeah, because they get it from a company usually.
Correct.
Like, they get it in bulk, but they need to make money to ship them. How many uniforms do they need? Like, if they did like a average of a school, so average school probably holds at least 100 people, and
I
so
don't know
that
what kind
100
of school
people,
you went to, but my school definitely held more than 100 people.
my school was small when I went to public school. It was really tiny.
Ah, okay.
Like, that's when I went to school. Nowadays, it's like, I don't know how many kids there are nowadays, but when I went to school, there was about 100. Like, there was only like about, in my class in general, there was about, so it was a split class. So grade one, no,
I was
grade
about to say
six,
grade
seven,
one.
and
That's
eight.
kindergarten, dude.
Nope, that's not kindergarten now in Canada. That's, there's kindergarten, grade
What?
kindergarten, junior kindergarten, and them stuff.
You're joking.
No,
What?
we start at age, I think it's 5. Yeah, 5.
Okay, that seems like, at least for me here in the US, that's like the start of
Grade
middle
1.
school, at least.
Okay. Anyhow, we had like, basically my class was like 6, 7, and 8, and my grade 8 class was like about 10 people, and then the grade 7s had like about 7-ish people, and then the grade 6s only had like about 4.
Oh, fun.
So it's like a tiny school because it's not that big where I went to school, and it just like that. Anyhow, but if you took an average school, let me look up actually how many is an average school so I can get the proper amount.
Like a
What
rough idea.
is yeah, so
Um,
I can the average
I want to like take a
school.
guess here and say like it's at least a few hundred, not a few hundred, like a few thousand students here in the US that can fit into a school. Like it has to be a few thousand at least.
So
Because if I were to take all the classes kind of together, we took at least 8 classes, um, which split that up into like every hour, lunch being half hour. Yeah, at least a few thousand, at least.
but it's kind of like if you took an average school, like, I don't know, say for example, like 1,000, that's still not enough to do it. Anyhow, but at the end of the day, like, it's like they can only get so much in a bulk like before
Yeah.
they have to pay shipping fees then too, because it's like a grocery store. Like if you take a grocery store, they can only spend so much of that portion, and if they spend like say example, they spend $1,000 on that one particular item, and they only have budget to do 1,000. Where's the other budget? Where's the other money coming from?
Yeah.
So it's basically like, okay, the budget is strictly how much they can spend. Like it's like the school trips, like they have so much budget that they can spend on that trip. That means buses. That means like hiring someone, like buses, where they could go. Like when I went to school, they had a budget, only a certain amount of budget that they could spend that time frame.
Yeah.
And so basically that's estimate. And so it's just so hard to work with that too, because if they at school and the school had to pay for it, they would lose money, the budget, how much money they can spend on school supplies, how much they have to spend on photocopying if they have to pay for a photocopy, how much they have to pay for staff, and that's why staff ratios go down too, because they can't afford it. Same with a grocery store, like they can hire so many, but they only can save so much, and that's the thing. It's so hard.
Definitely. Yeah, I've been trying to do some calculations as well, and
I'm estimating like 200 for what
if
I got. If you take an estimate,
yeah, if I were to do, let's just say like 1,000 students, divide that by what was it, like 600, like on the expensive side.
yeah,
That, oh God, that comes out to like 1.6. God. I'm not that good at math. 1, 2, 3.
yeah, you did right. I
Like
think you did right.
1.6. Would that be like 1,000 or something?
1,000, yeah, 1,000.
Like 1.6 thousand.
But still, like, where are they gonna get that money at the school? People had to pay for it.
Yeah. And then if I were to do like a rough estimate of 1,000 students on a low income family, so 420. 420. That's going to come out to $2.3 thousand at least.
And that's a lot for a person like that, for average and them stuff too.
Definitely. And I just kind of did that on the calculator here on the side. So, and that's just kind of, if we were to like round and stuff, that's like the estimate of, okay, you are going to be spending at least this much on uniforms, not including if you need it. Well, yeah, not including if you need other stuff on the uniform as well. So
yeah, logo and them stuff.
The logo should already come with it. At least
some do and some don't. So that's why parents have to pay for it to
definitely
cut that cost, because if you're taking that, how would they pay for staffing? Hydro, heat, whatever they have to pay for, the building itself.
True.
So,
I mean,
because the government doesn't pay every single penny of it.
That is true. I'll give you that. I will say, at least at my school, don't know about yours, but our in middle school and high school, our logo came onto our uniform. We didn't
but that's
really
extra.
pay for it, but
that'd be extra on top of it.
Well, yeah, if we had to pay for it separately, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Not
that's
much.
the thing. Again, like if you're doing like a school like school trips and them stuff, like school trips, or like if you're going to volleyball tournament or them stuff, it's nice to have that
Definitely.
so people can stand out so they know who's where too.
And if
And it
two,
advertises them,
definitely.
makes them
Um,
stand out a little bit more too.
and I'm gonna give you kind of a little bit of a. I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of a background on what I did kind of in school that might have shocked you guys. But I don't know if I told you this. Godful probably did like a while back. But in my high school, I was helping out a few of our sports teams. Like our football team, I helped them out. Our basketball team, I helped them. I helped our football team out for a good few years, um, just kind of helping them along the sidelines. And then, you know, doing that, either being part of like the chains or like giving water out to players that, need it. Um, the last year in school, I was participating in helping out our basketball team. Um, and I was pretty much helping keep score on everything. Um, on the on I was about to say the sports board. Oh my god.
Scores
Um,
board.
on the scoreboard, when you guys see, everything that when you guys go to a normal basketball game. I don't know how many basketball uh, fans I have that, watch basketball for fun, but on the scoreboard it has the actual number, the shot clock, the everything you need. Um, and then we have that big massive timer for the players. We had like two people in charge of the scoreboard and the setup. I was one of them, and that was kind of fun and kind of confusing at the same time, depending on what plays they're doing, which means I kind of have to switch over immediately on uh, changing the score, immediately switching the player's ball because we had to change arrows on what team had the ball a few times. So that was confusing. Um, so yeah, that was fun in a way, but also kind of chaotic at times if you've seen basketball games.
I've seen basketball games so many times.
And then I do kind of want to clarify when I was talking about football, I'm talking about the football that we have here in the US, not talking about soccer. So,
You can insert a picture so people can see what you're talking
yep,
about.
that, and we could probably split another podcast there as well, just kind of talking like a rough idea or so. So we're gonna have Matt Pat take it away again on the performance part. Take it away, Matt Pat.
One of the big benefits of uniforms is that they're supposed to help students do better in the two major metrics of school performance: grades and attendance. In the age of standardized testing, grades are how schools evaluate a student's work and how to place them in the right classes, as well as a measurable way to report on the effectiveness of the curriculum and the school itself. Most public schools in the US get a majority of their funding from the federal government, and how much they're given is directly related to the way students score on standardized tests. And wouldn't you know it, showing up to school helps you pass tests. So schools also encourage a very high attendance rate. There are even places in Europe that make it illegal to pull your kid out of school. And since people believe this idea that uniforms can cause a measurable difference in student performance, the National Center for Education Statistics has reported that the use of school uniforms has risen from 12% to 18% over the last decade. So does the data on student performance actually back any of this up? No, Not really. While there's certainly a lot of anecdotal evidence in support of the idea, the hard facts are harder to find. And when I did find those facts, the results were mixed. A study from 2011 saw that uniforms resulted in an attendance increase for female students of 0.3%, the equivalent of a half day of school. For male students, the difference was even less, only 0.2%. When correcting the data to account for income levels, lower income students had slightly higher attendance in schools with uniforms than those that didn't. But again, the difference amounted to less than a full day of school. And let's also be honest with ourselves here, this is likely a case of correlation, not causation. It's not like the uniforms are the things that are making the difference here. Oh, I can't go to school today because I'm busy with the laundry. No, the uniform is likely coming from a school with the perception of a more serious education, or a higher tuition fee, thereby resulting in a greater parental push to attend for all those lower income students. In short, while there does appear to be some level of statistical improvement here with school uniforms, it's far from the resounding success the pro-uniform supporters make it sound like, and it's likely not coming from the uniforms themselves. When it comes to improved grades, that same 2011 study found that the impact of uniforms was negligible. Another study from 2009 found that adopting uniforms showed, quote, a moderately positive impact on US middle school and high school students' performance, specifically in language exams, but there was no impact on elementary schools with uniforms. And again, data suggested that these improvements were strongest in female students. More recent studies from around 2018 continue to show only a small difference in grades from uniformed versus non-uniformed schools. But again, the biggest failing of all of these studies is that it's nearly impossible to separate out just uniforms as the only variable here, as opposed to some more obvious factors like quality of the school, quality of the teachers, funding for those schools, all of that stuff. Basically, this is just one big case of dirty data. Overall, in this category, I can only give uniforms a C-. Sure, they seem associated with some very slight boosts in attendance and grades, but it's also likely that they're just copying their friends' homework to get those numbers. Which brings us then to our final category, number.
So it does seem like on well, with greater things here on female students, that's about a 0.3% increase on their attendance on a uniformed female student compared to a uniformed male student, which is only increasing their attendance rate by 0.2%. And I think the schools are, at least the public schools here in the clip that I showed, they are wanting just to push them a little more on, going to school. With one thing that caught me off guard in this video, they said, let's see, right here,
Legal to pull your kid out of school.
right,
Also encourage a very
right here.
high attendance rate. There are even places in Europe that make it.
So some places in Europe, let's talk about this for a second. Some places in Europe make it illegal for you to pull your student out of school. Should we talk about that?
What do you mean by pull out?
Like, if you need to pull your student out of school to, let's just say, go to a doctor's appointment or something, just any reason you need to pull your student out of school, in Europe, they are having that you cannot do that.
I feel like it's kind of dumb, really, in my
For
opinion.
that, definitely. I mean,
Because if you have a
again,
doctor's appointment or anything like that, so I just feel like if you have a doctor's appointment, it should not, like, go to your doctor's appointment.
definitely.
Excuse me,
But
ma'am.
yet again, that's Europe compared to the rest of us. I'm not sure how the other states do it. MatPat didn't really talk about them as much as Europe, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
With one thing that MatPat did say in the video is with some students.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, with this is just kind of a rough idea on what MatPat said. With students actually showing up to school, they're automatically, I would say, doing better and passing their test when they have a test to, take in some way.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I can see why, but the data really doesn't show much, I would say.
No.
I mean, I don't know how you guys did it or anything, so.
We just took the day off for whatever needs to be done, or if we had to go back to school, we would go back to school say example if it was in the afternoon,
Yeah.
then you just go and do your afternoon what is it called? Afternoon like if your appointment was in the afternoon, you were expected to go back to school, but if not, you could just take the full day of school. It depends on your parents.
Yeah.
Like they were not really fussy on that, really.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Oh, it does.
Okay.
Just kind of weird in general, I would say, but I mean, it is kind of what it is, so.
Yeah. It is kind of weird. But
Yep.
we're not there, and we don't have to really worry about that then.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, at least I didn't have to worry about getting pulled out of school because at least the state that I live in, it's not illegal to pull your students out of school when you kind of have to on like
Yeah.
doctor's appointments and stuff. But
that's a bonus about that, really. Like,
yeah,
they won't do it. But I get some parents like make the kids go to do like that no matter what they do. And
definitely.
some parents lie about that, saying, "Oh, my kid has an appointment," and they just want to stay at home.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a hit and miss, yes and no, with that.
Yeah,
But
with class that I took as well, going back to the military class that I kind of took, with a certain lesson, I would say, if you are being called out, let's just say for a doctor's appointment or something, and it is a mandatory thing for you to be at this event, like the parade, you have to be there. That is mandatory. If you had a doctor's appointment, let's just say, you need a doctor's note ahead of time to actually provide them with that.
yeah,
Just to let them know, at least you need to let them know like a few days ahead, at least. That
you
way they
should give them a heads up.
that way they can kind of plan a little bit around it. But
Yeah,
either way, that grade's going to drop that day if you have a doctor's note or not, because that is a mandatory thing,
yeah.
and that's going to be hard to make up.
So, but what can you do? Like you have doctor's appointments, you have things like that. But in the place that you just said, they I would say some places had that policy because of the whole process of actually making sure kids like they don't look after their kid like health care really that much there. Like some places don't really care like if they see the doctor or they don't care about that. They care about like how some places just don't give a crap about that, really. Like, look after the health is not important as some places do care about their health, and then some places don't care as much.
Great.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
It depends on you, like how you do it, but it depends if they work Saturdays or too, because sometimes some doctors work Saturdays, some doctors don't. Like, it depends on where you are and how they do it too. But
Definitely.
I don't think it's necessary for that really to not send them to doctors if they need it, because then your health problems more important and more chances of getting other diseases.
Mm-hmm.
So I still don't think uniforms in school should not should not be in school.
Like mandatory.
Yeah,
Um,
unless if you think
yeah,
otherwise.
I mean, I'm kind of with you there. I'm just also trying to think on the side of like low income families as well, on like pros and cons, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, the low income family can't really afford a $600 or $420 uniform.
no.
Um,
And the thing is, average for a girl for uniform, they would have to have like from if I can picture what my school uniforms used to like. They showed us some stuff what it would look. There was like for girls, they would had to buy a skirt, um, what other things did they had to buy? Oh, I'm trying to think. Like a top, and then another layer underneath that. So they had to buy 3 clothing. The guys only had to wear 2 clothing, if I remember correctly, what it used to look like. And they just had to pay for a shirt and basically just black pants. And
yeah.
the girls had actually they had to have shoes, precise shoes, like flats, if I remember correctly, if they're flats. So they had to buy flats, and the guys had to wear black shoes. But if you look at me, like if I was wearing uniforms, they would not have my size when I was a kid because they had to get it customized because of my feeding. My foot is 2 different sizes.
Oh, fun.
So they would have to get 1 pair of shoe, and then they would have to buy another pair. So technically, we would have to pay for 2 pairs of shoes. So I
The
would be
school must
technically
have
would
loved
be
that.
with the female category if you look at that.
Great.
So that's just so expensive that on everyone's end really. Plus you have to buy like another like probably 2 or 3 to kind of help out with that too.
Definitely. Yeah. At least my verdict on this is, yeah, too expensive for like low income families and all that. Trying to put them in the picture with everything that we've talked about with the videos that were shown in the video or in this podcast. Um, yeah, it's like too expensive. Like I've been doing some calculations as well, and it's like, what was it, like 3.3 thousand,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. Like for like a low income family, but then when we have the high income family, like around average, what was it, like a 6, maybe 7 point something,
7. Yeah.
7 point something thousand, and it's like great. Um, yeah, too expensive through so many uniforms and everything. Um, so for me, it's really like I don't see the point. in a school uniform, but I also see a little bit of a point on, okay, like, yeah, the school uniform can be handy, but
but not
do we,
necessary.
but not necessary.
And not
Definitely.
everyone is. It's not their forte either. If you look at that
No.
too, like it's not. Again, if you're like in like a rich school type atmosphere, then yeah, do it. That's
I mean,
the
if
rich
you also,
school or private
I
school
mean,
kind of type thing.
yeah, I would say if you kind of think about it as well, wouldn't like rich kind of families and students want to go to like a like private type school than
Yeah,
compared to like a public school, stuff like that?
and that's the thing. Like, you know what? To tell them that they can't go to school because you don't have a uniform.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
mean,
pretty well hard,
yeah,
really.
and I mean, I'm gonna bring us back to like my middle school for a second again, and say that they really didn't care about a uniform unless you were in gym.
That's same with mine too.
They did not care at all. As long as you have a locker in the locker room, just with a spare pair of clothes, you're good.
Yeah,
Just look
that's all
presentable
that they
and yeah,
matter to us too. Like, just do what you can.
exactly. I mean, like what's your guys' opinion on school uniforms? Let us know down in the comments, I would say, because we've been talking about this for a
Quite
good
some
hour
time.
now. Quite some time. We've been here for like an hour plus, so we will hopefully be trying to wrap this up shortly.
Yeah,
Um,
I have nothing else to say except uniforms. School
yeah,
uniforms suck.
yes, very. I wish we had a YouTuber take the outro, but whatever. Um,
Hey, I'm a YouTuber. I'm kidding.
hey, you're in this
And you're a
podcast
YouTuber.
though. I'm talking about like Matt Pat or somebody
That'd be really
from a
cool.
video that we were showing. But
We don't.
anyway, um, anyway, I will. So that is just kind of our school uniforms on that kind of subject title. And what do you guys think about school uniforms? Do you think it should be mandatory with the points that we brought up, or do you think it shouldn't be mandatory for schools to put or give us, school uniforms? Let us know down in the comments. And what other podcast ideas do you guys want us to bring onto this channel? I'm going to be trying to bring the podcasts back on this channel, but I need some ideas, roughly, on what we can do. And yeah, let's see what ideas you guys have. Let us know in the comments about that on ideas. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next podcast.
But hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp.